Hello everybody and welcome back to another reading of The Legend of Zelda, Hyrule Historia. And today we are beginning the Child's Era's victory timeline with the Twilight Realm and the legacy of the hero. The hero was victorious, successfully sealing away Ganon. Link returned to his original time and met with Princess Zelda, setting a new timeline into motion. An alternate history of Hyrule. This is the era of the hero of time. We have returned, and this is the Child Era, Ocarina of Time. The return of the hero of time. Princess Zelda used her power to rewind the 7 years that Link had spent sleeping, and restored the hero to his original era. Upon his return, Link wasted no time in making Hyrule Castle courtyard. There, he found Princess Zelda watching Ganondorf, just as she had been when they first met. The hero's return. Link finds himself back in the Temple of Time. The Master Sword has not yet been drawn from its pedestal, and the way to the Sacred Realm has yet to be opened. His companion Navi disappears into the heavens, and Link steps into a new timeline. Triforce of Courage. Link bears the proof of his courage on the back of his hand. Because Ganondorf was sealed away along with the Triforce of Power, the rest of the Triforce remained within the Chosen Ones. The portent this crap again. Well, at least there's no audio for here. So I really hate that. I want to fix that so bad. I'm sorry. No, I really do apologize, because I know I complain about this every time in every video nowadays. I really gotta get this fixed. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just want to take this time right now. I apologize, 'cause this breaks the flow of my videos, and then I just sound all grumpy and just it's not. From now on, when it happens, I'll try to be more positive about it. Luckily for this project, I don't need the background audio for the actual program itself, because there is no background audio. So yeah, I apologize. I won't do that again. If it happens again, I just stop the recording and I restart it again. That's all I'll do. A portent of the future. Link warned Princess Zelda of what the future would bring. Hearing his words, the princess entrusted the Ocarina of Time to Link, and instructed him to travel far away in order to prevent Ganondorf from entering the Sacred Realm. Just then, the mark of the Triforce of Courage on the back of Link's hand began to glow. Link, the hero, who had won the battle against the great evil in the world of the future, left on a secret journey. Now you see, because Link had the Triforce of Courage, in order to truly prevent this from happening, not only did they imprison Ganondorf, but they also sent Link away. They told him, go far away. We don't care what you do, just go. And so he did, in a search for Navi, because she left after the end, and this leads us to the events of Majora's Mask. Link's departure. Link set off on his horse Epona, who had lived at Lon Lon Ranch. Months passed as he wandered in search for his companion Navi, eventually losing himself in a mysterious forest. It just so happened that this forest led to a parallel world known as Termina. Turmoil in the parallel world of Termina. I have a big theory, a Tetraforce theory on this section. I'll take time to talk about it now. Let me say right now, the Tetraforce, for those who don't know, I've done a video on I've done a video game analysis board episode on it. So if you want more information, you can go there. Shameless plug of the day, ding. Just to skip all that, I'm assuming, because I'll assume you've watched it at this point, or you just know about it. I have a theory that I believe the theory that Majora is a woman, and on top of that, I believe Majora is, if the Tetraforce was real, would have been the fourth goddess of Hyrule, and she would have had the fourth part of the Triforce known as kindness. Majora feeling that she was how did it go? I written it down in an article in Nintendo Chronicle. If you want to check that out too, it should be also on Geek Life, if I'm not mistaken. But let me just paraphrase. Majora felt out of place with the other three goddesses. She caused a lot of mischief, and they banished her to this pocket dimension world that Majora used to create Termina. But when she found out she was preparing for war against Hyrule in order to defeat and take over all the land, so she could be the sole ruler of the whole world, both Termina and Hyrule, the goddesses grew angry and turned her into a monster that can only be brought to life again if the mask was worn. If okay, so she was turned into a mask by the three goddesses. After she became this horrible, ugly monster that caused the people of Termina to no longer follow her. And then, just so happened when Link set off on his journey to get away from Ganondorf, Majora has found her way to have the mask worn by the Skull Kid. And we'll read more about that, what actually happens in the real timeline, because that is not true. The events of the Tetra Force are not real. Nintendo went out to discredit it. I'm just saying that's just something I came up with a long time ago, probably like way at the beginning of my channel even. The world that ends in 3 days. Termina was in trouble. The moon was plummeting towards Earth, and according to my theory, that is because Majora wants to destroy Termina and recreate Termina again, so she can create it in her image in order to gain a new army, defeat Hyrule. And in 3 days' time, the world would be destroyed. A young imp known as Skull Kid had snatched Majora's Mask from a traveling mask salesman. With the aid of the mask's terrible power, his actions had gone beyond the scope of mischief, and the effects of these pranks would be felt all over Termina. The imp's trickery didn't stop there. He also snatched Epona and the Ocarina of Time from Link, transforming the hero into a Deku whatever. Deku, whatever. And there he is. Now, Majora's Mask got a huge cult following the past few years, and a lot of people hated it when it came out. Now, I know I'm taking my time to go on tangents, but let me explain to you how the Legend of Zelda fan base works. For 3D Zelda games, anyway, because I noticed 2D Zelda games have a pretty solid positive standings, but for 3D Zelda games, here's how it works. Ocarina of Time comes out, revolutionizes the market. Majora's Mask comes out. What the hell were they thinking? This is so stupid. Oh my god, it's like they made this in 2 years, which they did. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with them? This is so stupid. I hate the time limit. I hate all this crap. Why do I have to deal with this? I think it's cool they can transform into all these people around Hyrule, but it's stupid. What is Majora? Where's my Ganondorf? Alright, let's fast forward a little bit to Wind Waker. Oh my god, this is so stupid. They didn't even try to be like Ocarina of Time. This is so different. The art style is horrible. But you know what did it right? Majora's Mask. They were different, but they still kept true to what 3D Zelda was all about. Let's fast forward. Twilight Princess. Oh my god, this is too much like Ocarina of Time. Why couldn't they have been like Wind Waker and change it up a bit? And Majora's Mask is still the greatest game of all time. In fact, I'm starting to realize that Ocarina of Time wasn't the best game ever. It was Majora's Mask. Fast forward to Skyward Sword. Oh my god, I hate the motion control. My motion control is horrible. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Why couldn't they have been like Twilight Princess that just stuck to what worked? Oh my god, Twilight Princess got it right. And so did Wind Waker. Wind Waker is the greatest game ever made of all time. And I like Majora's Mask. It's really good. And you should respect Ocarina of Time. Oh my god. But I still kind of don't like it because I don't like things that are too mainstream and too obvious because I'm a hipster and blah 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 blah. Next 3D Zelda game, guaranteed. Oh my god, what was wrong with them? I like the HD, it's finally HD Zelda, but come on. Skyward Sword had it right, so much superior, and it had an interesting control scheme and a lot of creativity put into it. Why is this one no creativity? Oh my god. Okay, I can't guarantee that, but I really think that's what ended up happening. Alrighty, now that that's over. Termina, a strange parallel world where many inhabitants look identical to the people of Hyrule, because the designers of this game didn't want to, they had to do this in a very short amount of time, and they used the exact models from Ocarina of Time. Cremia and Romani, sisters who resemble Hyrule's Malan. A new ally. After regaining possession of the Ocarina of Time, Link was able to return to his original form using a mask. However, the happy mask salesman entreated him to recover Majora's Mask. Together with Tattle, who was worried about Skull Kid, Link decided to put an end to the imp's excessive meddling. Tattle the Fairy. And there's the happy mask salesman, he's creepy. And he has a Mario mask back there, if you can see it. There's also a Bowser one on his back, if I'm not mistaken. There's always a Mario reference in a Zelda game and vice versa. Always. Here's some proof. Tattle the Fairy. A fairy who together with her brother, Tail, I get it, Tattletale, ha, makes mischief with Skull Kid. Let me reread it. A fairy who together with her brother Tail, Tattletale, makes mischief with the Skull Kid, she is left behind by the imp while trying to escape with Link, and eventually she joins forces with the hero. Here's the Deku tribe, the Deku tribe of Woodfall, the Goron tribe of Snowhead, the Ghost of Icona, and the Indigo Goes of the Zoro tribe of Great Bay. And it's really, yeah, they have. These are the main characters you deal with throughout Majora's Mask, and yeah, they're really cool. The 4 regions of Termina. I mean, the thing with Majora's Mask, I know I said this before, but I have the cartridge in my possession. I bought a golden cartridge at Comic-Con. No, I got that on the internet. I bought Ocarina of Time at Comic-Con. Because I had to replace I had Ocarina of Time. I never had Majora's Mask as a kid, but I lost Ocarina of Time somehow a long time ago. But I'm afraid to try Majora's Mask. I keep looking at the cartridge. I'm afraid to try it because I have a feeling that I won't like it. Because when I play 3D Zelda games, I like to focus on the main story. If I'm gonna do side quests, I want to do it just to be prepared for the main story. And this game is all side quests and little main story because there's only 4 dungeons, and you can get this game done probably in 2 hours if you're strong enough to just have a little amount of hearts and not much equipment and whatnot. You don't care about the mask, getting every mask in 100% of the game. But if you do that, you're missing out on like 90% of the game if you just do the main story. But when in my history with the Legend of Zelda series, I like the main story more than the side quests. In fact, if I don't like the idea of a side quest, I just don't do it. Like if something's too tedious for me, I just don't want to do it. But I mean, it's different 2D Zelda games. I don't know why. Probably because, I don't know why, but it's just different for me to 2D Zelda games. I make sure I 100% those, but with 3D Zelda games, I just like to play the main story. And I'll only do side quests if they're convenient and I know about them and I can get them done really quick and I have some time in between. Like Wind Waker does a good job with that. Wind Waker has a lot of moments where you can side quests without breaking the flow of the story, and I really appreciate that. And Majora's Mask, I'm just afraid of trying it. If you guys want to, please convince me. If you guys want to go on my Twitter or something, or if you want to go on my Facebook page and just say why, Majora's Mask. I mean, I've seen a lot of Let's Plays. I know how the game goes, and I know it's a great game. I do, but I don't know. I'm just really afraid to try it because I'm afraid I just won't like it. But that's just me. The 4 regions of Termina. Termina is dominated by 4 regions of the North, South, East, and West, with Clock Town's Clock Tower at its center. The regions consist of the swampland of Woodfall, the mountains of Snowhead, the ocean of Great Bay, and the canyon of Icona. The kingdom of Icona is in ruins, but the other regions are governed by people who inhabited them, because they're all dead in Icona. The mysterious masks. The masks which hold the spirit of the dead cause the wearer to transform into a shape resembling the departed. Link uses the masks to undergo transformations, gaining powers not native to his human form. Link's transformation into a Deku Scrub is caused by the spirit of the member of the Great Deku tribe that died in the forest, connecting Hyrule and Termina. And for the credits, they hint that that Deku Scrub was the child of the butler of the Deku King in the swamp. And that's what all this talk about death and whatnot is what people really learns to love about Majora's Mask, because it is very grim and dark. It's a much darker, grimmer story. Link is not 18, but he's not his young self either. He's more in between. Probably everyone thinks like 13 or 14, or 12. Well, I think the official thing is 12, but it's around there. And there's all this look of death, and there's such grim storylines that you have to make everything okay again, and make everything, because Majora is very evil, and all the mischief the Skull Kid causes with the Majora's Mask is just evil. And that's a complaint people had about Ocarina of Time, like it was too childlike and innocent. And yeah, no, I get that, but you know, I have to defend that. It's the first of its kind, so of course it's going to be safe. You know, I mean, like 3D was new. You didn't want to screw that up. You wanted to keep it safe and understandable. But that's what made Majora's Mask all the much better, because they said, okay, this works. Everyone loves this, so let's make it more in-depthful, and Majora Mask was really good with that. The story was written in a very little amount of time, but they did a very good job. It's something to admire. It shows the heart of what developers can do. And if you guys want a little fast fact, Majora's Mask was made in 2 years. Yes, that was a short time for N64 standards, but the thing is, the reason why they did it in such a short amount of time, it might have been 1 year even, come to think of it. The reason why it was done in such a short amount of time is because the developers of this game were supposed to make an expansion pack for Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64 disc drive, which was a failure anyway, so it was a good thing they never did that. So to have new dungeons and new things to expand the game. They didn't want to do it. They said they were sick of designing for Ocarina of Time, because, yeah, I mean, they wanted to move on. I understand that. That's why, I mean, a lot of developers back then, when they actually cared, they didn't want to stick to one project all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of developers like a lot of developers these days still do that, especially in Nintendo and especially in Nintendo places like Nintendo and Sega and where else? Trying to think of other people to defend here. Persona, they're still into it. Not Persona, Atlas. I mean, yeah, I think Atlas is still pretty into it. You know, they don't. I mean, they still do their Persona games, but they take their time with it. I don't know what's going on with Valve these days. They got to come back with more games. But bottom line is, yes, there is still developers that do care at that level where they don't want to stick to one money-making project all the time. But yeah, it was more common back then, and they said, look, we'll do anything, and they got challenged. If you can make another Legend of Zelda game very quickly, then you don't have to make it, and they did. And people hated it at first, but through the test of time and through the amazingness that is fan bases, I'm not gonna signal out the fan base, I'm gonna say fan bases, this tends to happen. This is what ends up happening. Clock Town, an atmosphere of unrest. Link has first found himself in a place called Clock Town. 3 days before the local carnival, the town was thrown into chaos when the moon began to fall. The shadow of the lunar body grew bigger with each passing day. Using the Ocarina of Time, Link was able to rewind the passage of time to 3 days before the moon fell. He collected a number of mysterious masks and righted the unusual changes that had taken place in the world, reviving the legendary giants that slept in the 4 regions of the land. Oh wait, something I forgot to mention. The Ikanas are, according to my Majora's the Fourth Goddess theory, the Ikanas were her army that were still loyal to Majora no matter what, and the other 3 areas of Termina took them down, and that's why they're all dead. And that's what they were waiting for Majora's return in the game, when Link found the general and whatnot, and they were all still waiting. The legendary giants. Skull Kid's friends are guardian deities that inhabit each region of Termina. Though they depart of the 4 corners of the earth to fulfill their promise, Skull Kid feels they have abandoned him and goes to rampage with the power of Majora's Mask. 4 giants and Majora's Mask. There's a Feast Deity Link. He's bad, but man. There's also the way to use the adult Link model. The original game had an adult Link mask actually, so you can turn an adult Link, but they felt that was unnecessary, so yeah, that never happened. The day of destiny had arrived. The 4 giants stretched out their arms and held up the moon, stopping it from plunging into the town. However, the mastermind behind these events was none other than Majora's Mask. Link pursued the mask to the center of the moon. There, a strange battle unfolded. Link transformed into the fierce deity and eradicated the threat. Majora's Mask has then returned to the happy mask salesman, and the terror caused by the falling moon no longer held the world in its grip. As night fell on the 3rd day, Clock Town was safe. Link watched the happy citizens enjoy the carnival of time. The hero took his leave of Termina, and his whereabouts after that are unknown. Of course, according to Twilight Princess, Link ended up returning to Hyrule. Assumingly, I'm not sure. We're gonna have to read. They'll probably explain this later on. but assumingly as a knight, with probably under a different name or something, because in Twilight Princess, the dead warrior you learn moves from, like the finisher and whatnot, I think there's 5 strategies you can learn from him, was the Hero of Time, just an old man who became one of the warriors and knights of Hyrule. I don't know. It's been a whole year since I read this book, so I'm sure they have an explanation for that. But that's what I think. How it works. If I'm trying to go off the top of my head here. Here's some people from some side quests. The mayor, Madame Aroma, Cafe transformed into a child, and Cafe's fiance, Anju. We never see Cafe as an adult. In the credits, if you do that side quest, you see them get married, and you see him in his adult form. Clocktown, the mayor's household. Clocktown, seated at the heart of Termina, has a giant clock tower at its center. The yearly carnival brings his visitors from all over. The household of the mayor includes a son named Cafe, who will soon marry a woman named Anju. However, Cafe has been transformed into a child by the Skull Kid. Oh man, ain't that lame. Alright, now we're getting into Twilight Princess. The demon thief, Ganondorf, is executed. Not Ganon, he's Ganondorf. Never transformed into Ganon. Dark clouds menace Hyrule. In Hyrule, Princess Zelda was informed of what would happen in the future by Link, the Hero of Time. This is what happened when Link was doing Majora's Mask. She realized that leaving Ganondorf to his own devices would cause the downfall of her kingdom. Many years later, Ganondorf, the infamous demon thief who wielded the power of magic, was finally to be executed. Demon Thief Ganondorf. The Ganondorf of this timeline, is able to wield magic due to his possession of the Triforce of Power. However, since Link was able to warn Princess Zelda of the future, Ganondorf did not enter the Sacred Realm or lay his hands on the completed Triforce. Link, returning from the future bearing the Triforce of Courage, made it so that Ganondorf was unable to consolidate the omnipotent power of the Triforce within himself. The Arbiter's Grounds and the Mirror of Twilight. The ancient sages performed the execution of Ganondorf in the Arbiter's Ground. However, Ganondorf, who had been chosen by the Triforce of Power, did not perish, and managed to kill one of the sages. Thrown into a panic, the remainder of the sages used the Mirror of Twilight to banish Ganondorf to the Twilight Realm. They were then instructed by the gods to protect the mirror. Yes, since there was no Dark World, they didn't banish him there, they banished him to the Twilight, which is in between the light and the Dark World. Gotta do something, right? And the thing with Twilight Princess, a lot of people complain about, and I agree. I mean, Twilight Princess is actually my least favorite 3D Zelda game. It's not my least favorite Zelda game in the world. Maybe it is, I don't know. But it's definitely down there for me. I mean, it was a fine game. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I want that on the record. I liked the game. It didn't wow me like the other Zelda game was. And the complaint that made it, and I totally agree, I wholeheartedly agree with it, is because they tried too hard to be dark and gritty. Yeah. And I think all the returns to Ocarina of Time style, like everything was pretty much the same for Ocarina of Time. I don't think that's a bad thing. I do not. If you do it right, but I think Twilight Princess did that as a fan service because people were complaining that Wind Waker wasn't enough like Ocarina of Time. But then when this game came out, the Wind Waker was Twilight Princess was too much like Ocarina of Time. There's no winning. There's just no winning. But yeah, that's just how it is. The Sages. Details regarding the sages who exist in this era are largely unknown, including their names. From the crest depicted on their clothing, we can ascertain that the sages represent the light, forest, fire, water, shadow, and spirit sages. Yes. So basically, they're saying these are like the manifestation of the crests that the sages possess. But these sages in Twilight Princess really don't have any names or identities. Ganondorf's malice. Ganondorf is full of wickedness and hatred. Yeah, thanks for that brilliant form of information. By the way, they already spoiled the fact that Ganondorf's the main enemy in Twilight Princess because you weren't supposed to know that. Ganondorf and his malice, sent to the Twilight Realm, plunged the shadowy domain into madness. Yes, he's so powerful, even in the Twilight Realm, he was able to take it over. The history of the Twilight Realm. Long, long ago, the people of the world were filled with piety, and the land knew many years of peace. Before long, however, conflict began to arise in the sacred realm called Hyrule. People began to appear who were proficient with magic and attempted to control the sacred realm with their powers. The gods dispatched 4 light spirits, which are in Twilight Princess, who sealed the usurper's magic into the fused shadows. Also a plot element, they then banished the offenders to the Twilight Realm using the Mirror of Twilight, so that they would never be able to return to the Light World. Those who lived in the Twilight came to be known as the Twilight. Yes, so basically the Twilight Realm are all magic users that were trying to take over Hyrule. And that's why Ganondorf was banished there, because he too was a magic user that tried to take over Hyrule. And they settled in a settlement in Twilight, just like in Termina. Wait, what page are we on? I actually planned this one, people. But unfortunately, as always, I always take so much time, we end up probably not getting to the nitty-gritty about it. I think we should end it here. The Twilight section, the Princess section of this book is actually probably one of the longest in the history of Hyrule section. I don't know why, but it just is. Probably because I think this is the shortest timeline segment for now out of all 3 of them after Ocarina of Time. So, yeah. With that, people, this will end today's video. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Billy, your Big Man Analyzer. Have a good day, good night, whenever you